Folks, you guys know how it is. I like to eat. Okay, brother like to eat. That's why his belly's just a big gut. I met this guy at a food like it was like a festival and whatnot. I said, let me try some of his barbecue. And I was like, damn, this is really good barbecue. So from that standpoint, every time he comes around the neighborhood in Northeast Baltimore, I try to go support his food. Some of the best damn brisket. I'm going to say the best burnt ends I've tasted in a long, long time. The next voice you'll hear is Frank from Frank's BBQ.
The Nopixafterdark podcast is fueled by Zeke's Coffee. Have you tried their coffee yet? I'm telling you, there's something different about it. Maybe it's because they roast their beans in a fluid coffee roaster, which provides the most accurate roasting temperatures and made with love. You will just have to check it out for yourself and try their delicious food while you're at it. Open now for curbside service, online ordering, carry out, and they also do wholesale. Visit Zeke's Coffee at 4719 Hartford Road. Open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday, 8 to 5 p.m. Kitchen closes at 3 p.m. or visit Zeke'sCoffee.com and you too can be fueled by Zeke's.
Are you or someone you love in need of mental health support? For All Seasons is now offering same-day therapy appointments with no wait list. Through the For All Seasons Open Access program, you can walk in for mental health services and begin therapy in the same visit. For All Seasons accepts all insurances and provides financial assistance if you need it. For therapy, psychiatry, or victim support, we have appointments available today. Call For All Seasons 410-822-1018.
Welcome to the Nopixafterdark podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Dante. I told you folks we're going to have the heavy hitters this year. And tell you what, we got a food person in. Mr. Frank, what's up, sir? How are you?
Hey, Aaron, how you doing?
How you feeling tonight?
Feeling good.
Good. I'm so happy you finally came on the show to hang out, talk about your story. I see you branded with the Franks BBQ right there. I see you branded. So tell the audience a little bit about you. Are you from Maryland? Did you grow up this area? Mm-hmm. Tell me, go ahead. Talk a little bit about you.
Yep. I am Frank Subchinski of Frank's BBQ, located here in Baltimore, Maryland. Originally from Baltimore. Lived here originally from Dundalk and lived here up until about 2013, up until the Ravens won the Super Bowl. And that's when I moved out to the Bay Area, California, to work in big tech as a project manager and doing quality assurance. And then while I was out in California, I had an opportunity to work with somebody. And I worked with him for about a few months until I realized I can do this. And then that's when I started Frank's BBQ when I was living in California in 2019. Out in, so basically doing pop-ups in San Francisco, Oakland, and then we went down to LA one time to do a pop-up, and that was pretty cool.
Nice. So wait, let's rewind a little bit back when you lived in Baltimore. So You're from Baltimore. Like, did you ever want to move to California? Was that something that was in the bingo card, I guess?
No, it was not. I actually didn't know I was moving to California until a week before I moved to California.
So you got to tell a story about that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Exactly 1 week. So I was working. So I've basically been working in kitchens since I was 16.
Okay.
Doing busboy work, and then started working, doing grilling at a Red Lobster when I was 18. Worked there for a bit. Went to Red Brick Station in White Marsh for a bit. Did a brief stint at Miles and a Half Shell down in Canton Square. But at the same time, I was also working in the tech industry. So cooking for me was always before tech, and then doing the weekends when I had my office job. And then from there, I had a job transfer from the Zynga Baltimore office out to California and headquarters in San Francisco. And they offered me a transfer, so I took it. Went out there, worked for a bit, gave the food service industry a break, wanted to build up my project management career out in California. Worked out there for about 7.5 years, and that's when COVID happened in 2020. So it was around 2018, I started selling barbecue. Actually, before that, I went back to school at UC Berkeley, a business school. And everything I did in business school revolved around the barbecue. How much a rack of ribs cost, what's my cost of goods sold, learning profit and loss statements, all that fun stuff. So when I left business school at Berkeley, I had a business plan in my back pocket. So started selling barbecue 2018, and then 2019 is when I really started Franks BBQ. Like I was heads down early 2019. Wanted to build up the business in California, see what I could do some catering on the weekends. And from there, I started doing corporate catering. And then that was the 2019 NFL season when I started selling barbecue on the weekends at dive bars in San Francisco and Oakland.
Oakland, okay.
Yeah. So it was basically me figuring out my product, figuring out my pricing point, figuring out what people wanted. And then I realized that people really want to barbecue sandwiches on the weekends while they're watching football. So that's what I started doing, a lot more barbecue sandwiches. So I started doing a lot more brisket, a lot more pulled pork. I had my fresh made sides. So I was doing a lot of dive bars on the weekend. And then again, like I said, early 2020 is when COVID happened. And Governor Newsom, he pretty much shut everything down. You couldn't do anything out there.
Right.
So it was like everything that I worked so hard for out in California was just like gone.
And you had left your 9 to 5.
Yeah, I was.
Wow.
I was doing everything that I was, heads down, took a huge risk, and then COVID happened. So what I did was I realized I was 35 at the time. I wanted to reposition the business back to Baltimore, where I was originally from. All my friends and family are here. Nobody knew what was going on with the world. So I repositioned the business to Baltimore and then started working my way up from there. And then started doing more farmers markets, started networking more. Actually, when I first came back, my first pop-up in Baltimore was down at Forno, Italian restaurant down on Utah Street by Camden Yards.
Wow.
And my buddy Ricky used to own that, and he was like, well, come on in. We're going to do a pop-up. You're going to sell your barbecue, see how it does. And it was actually really well. I had a lot of people coming from social media hitting me up saying, hey, we've been following you for a while. We're really excited to try your barbecue now. And it was just people out of the blue. And I was like, well, I may have something here. And the business started to have legs and started to walk a little bit more. Then 2021 was my first year operating full-time in Baltimore with the barbecue.
So let's talk a little bit behind the scenes. I mean, that's really cool how you went to UC Berkeley to learn the business side of things.
Yep.
Because that's the most important. I think a lot of business owners, they can be great cooks, great chefs. They can make anything. But I think the lost component is the business side of it. Understanding, this is how much it costs, this is how much it should retail. And then making that sweet spot where, hey, I can make a little money off here. That will pay for this, pay for that. How did you mix and make? What was because you're in San Fran. That's a whole different market. The price up there is expensive. Everything up there is ridiculous. I mean, you can't even get a drink for less than $5. Or actually, I'm talking about a soda, something cheap that you get. They're a very expensive market. How did you price yourself in that market? And then you probably had and you knew Baltimore was a totally different price market. How did you figure that out coming from living in San Fran, now come to Baltimore? How did you figure all that stuff out?
Yeah, again, relying on business skills. How much could you sell a pork barbecue sandwich for out in San Francisco?
How much were they up there, if you don't mind me asking?
Back in the day, I was originally selling for $6 for a barbecue sandwich.
That's cheap.
It is cheap. It's dirt cheap.
In San Fran?
Yep. And then I had to figure out the fluctuating commodity prices, what the ingredients cost.
You're giving it away.
My labor. And then after a while, it was $7. Then everybody's like, well, you should charge more. Then it was $9. And people were still buying it.
Right.
Then it was $10. And people were like, you should definitely charge more because it's a really good sandwich. Because I kept hearing it's some of the best sandwiches I've ever had. Right. So I'm like, okay, I got something. You just start messing with the numbers on the back end. How much can we sell this barbecue sandwich for without tipping the scales too much? But then, with inflation, it started going up more. So now as of now, end of 2023, it's $13 for a barbecue sandwich, $16 for a beef sandwich.
That makes sense.
$12 for a sausage, but it's a 7.5-inch sausage. It's no small sausage. So it's also trying to keep up with margins, trying to actually operate the business. Because not only do you have to be passionate about what you're doing, but you also have to be passionate about your business. It's a good 50-50 mix, because you can work in your business. I can cook barbecue all day long, but I also want it to work on my business too. How can I scale? What markets can I get into? Who am I networking with? What can people offer me? What can I offer them? what's the best platform for me, right? Keeping up with the taxes, understanding operational costs, how to please the government and pay them on time.
They want their money off the top.
They do. Keeping people happy in general, showing up on time, understanding scope of work, understanding the risks, especially when it comes to COVID restrictions back in the day, and understanding the weather too, because it's hard to cook barbecue out in the weather.
Facts. People don't know about that. So I like that. So what we're going to do is when we come right back, we're going to do a quick map break. We're going to talk about, when you came to Baltimore, how'd you know you had it? Like, you were in San Fran. I don't know if they know barbecue out in San Fran. No offense to my friends in San Fran, but I don't know if y'all know about that. I'm a Southern boy. My mom and dad are from the South. So we're going to talk a little bit about that when we get back. How did you find out when you knew you had something? Right back at these messages, folks.
When you give to United Way, your gift could be the first spark of something bigger. It can help someone find, interview for, and get hired for a job, and provide follow-up services for success. It can break down educational barriers and give that extra help to a struggling student with in-school support programs. Give today. Spark something bigger.
Hi, my name is Catherine Womack. I'm a former strategic intelligence officer with the U.S. Navy. I spent the last couple of years at U.S. Cybercom and transitioned from active duty after 15 years into small business ownership. I own and operate a digital marketing agency in the state of Maryland. So a lot of people approach me thinking that digital marketing is simply social media management or maybe doing Google ads or Facebook ads, things like that. But what digital marketing really is an umbrella term for a multitude of tactics to get small businesses found by the people who need them. I personally specialize in search engine optimization, website development with conversion architecture in mind. And what that really means is the people are going to your website and doing the thing you need them to do. And oftentimes it's requesting a quote, an appraisal, things like that. So there's definitely a psychology to website development, and we lean really heavy into the psychology of sales to get people to do the things you need them to do. A lot of times as a business owner, you haven't had the time to think about what your needs really are, what your challenges truly are, the sources of those challenges. I can guarantee you in most cases, it's not simply that you need an ads campaign, and that's where I can add value to your marketing strategy.
And folks, we're back with Mr. Frank with Frank's BBQ. Man, you got me hungry, got my stomach growling. We're talking about all this amazing food. So tell us a little bit about when you knew you had something. Because again, people taste differently. They have different taste buds. When I think about barbecue, I think about Memphis barbecue. I think about Texas barbecue, the brisket Texas. I think about the sweet Carolina flavor for Carolinas down there. So I'm talking about all different type of flavors. What was the right mixture, and what was your mix that made it when you knew, like, people were like, you got something, like you have something here when you came back to Baltimore in 2021 downtown period?
Yeah, it was the amount of compliments that I received on my food.
Okay.
People not only saying it's some of the best barbecue they've ever had, but it's some of the best food they've ever had as well. And that's just not at public pop-ups or breweries. That's actually doing catering too, where you're pleasing high-end clients. And just the amount of compliments. Like, man, we should do this again. And it was keeping high retention. A lot of people coming back for seconds. You know, customers that I would see 1 month, I'd see 2 months later. And then some customers where I'd be at the market, they'd be at the market every single time I was there. They said, well, I came to this market just because you were here. They say things like that. Confidence booster. And it was also trying different barbecue around Baltimore, right? A lot of people are serving pit beef. A lot of people are serving pit turkey, pit ham, French fries, things of that nature. There's a lot of different pit shacks along Baltimore County, especially East Baltimore County. But just trying other people's barbecue, I would try, like, this is good. It sells. These people have been in operation for a while. You know, they're doing something.
Right. They're doing something.
But it was also, I would compare it to mine, right? Wanted to stay humble about it, but also build enough confidence to where I'm taking it to the next level. I'm selling more barbecue. I'm selling different styles of barbecue. It was also remaining true to myself, too. I wasn't cooking Texas-style brisket. I never marketed myself as a specific style of barbecue. I cook my own barbecue. And that's why I called it Franks BBQ, is because I do all the cooking, right?
We got Frank's BBQ right here.
Yep. That is our backyard rub. We came out this year.
The backyard rub right here.
I'll put that on everything. I'll put that on my pork shoulders. I'll put that on my chicken. I'll put that in my collard greens. I'll put that in my beans. It's good on steaks. It's good on a lot of things. And it's an original backyard rub. It's all-purpose rub. So definitely use it in a lot of different applications. But that's basically what I wanted to come out with, some sort of backyard rub. I'm also going to come out with some barbecue sauces soon.
Some other stuff, some added. So well, let's break down. So for me, I have a smoker too. You know, we you and I have talked several times. I have a huge smoker, and you know, my mom and sister are always like, "When are you going to cook a brisket?" And I'm going to tell you right now, brisket, that's a whole different game. Now, if you tell us that, hey, Aaron, I need you to smoke some ribs, yo, I'm gonna smoke the hell out of your ribs. I'm gonna smoke the hell out of them. I'm gonna do the work. I'm gonna make sure a person who has no damn teeth can eat my ribs, okay? I want them that tender. Some people don't like them that tender, but I like them that tender. But brisket is hard. Because first of all, the cut costs too much to mess up. Talk us about how you did that trial and error, because that's an expensive trial and error to not do it correctly. Tell us about your brisket and your ribs, and you're making that into part. Well, yeah, go ahead.
So I've been cooking barbecue for the last 20 years.
Okay.
Right. And just like anybody who has a trade or anybody who's a professional in any of their industry, it's something they just didn't pick up last week. It's something they've been doing for a very, very long time. So when I first started doing barbecue, I started cooking just like anybody else would cook on a Weber in their backyard, cooking for their friends and family. And at the time, being from Baltimore, I didn't know what barbecue was. I wasn't cooking low and slow. I wasn't cooking at 225, 250. I was grilling. I was grilling chicken thighs. I was grilling sausage. I was putting corn on the grill. I was grilling steaks. Everything was hot and fast, right? Cooking 400, 500 degrees, open pit. So it's just learning how meat cooks, learning what sauces go well with what meat, how to season meat, how to cut meat, how to select meat from the grocery store, right? It wasn't until I got to California where I started to slow down a bit, right? The apartment I used to live in California had a really nice courtyard in the middle next to a swimming pool, but they also had a grilling area. So I'd take my smoker down there, and on the weekends, cook the barbecue, and then at night, go to business school. And that was my job at the time, was figure out how to barbecue. How to figure out the numbers behind the barbecue, how to make a product that everybody wants to eat, right? Well, I just don't cook where it's like, well, I like your ribs and your brisket, okay, but your pulled pork's phenomenal. It's just like, no, everything has to be good on the same playing field.
Okay.
Like nothing has to fall short. So it wasn't around until 2014, 2015, I really started to cook low and slow. And that was pork shoulder, briskets, more ribs. Instead of grilling ribs, you're smoking ribs, right? But after a while, it was, okay, now you're learning how to cook brisket, which is two different muscles with a fat band between it. And then you're learning how to make sausage. Sausage making is extremely hard.
Right.
And then I'm also learning how to cook whole hog when I come back here to Baltimore and I have a cinder block pit in the backyard and I'm just cooking whole hog just to cook whole hog, right? Because I wanted to figure out how to cook whole hog. Wow. A lot of people say brisket is king. Whole hog is the holy grail of cooking barbecue.
I would agree with you on that. I have had a whole hog, and like that is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I agree with it. Mm-hmm. Brisket is. I would say brisket's like probably on an everyday basis, because whole hog is more of like a
spectacle.
You know, you're there for people to see it and stuff like that. But a brisket ain't nothing like a brisket. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like brisket. Can be like butter.
Well, it's smoked beef.
Right. It's like, but a lot of people can't do it though.
No. Well, a lot of people, again, like I said, a lot of people around here used to pit beef.
Right.
So they used to really thin,
chopped up, beef
on a Kaiser roll with some onions.
No.
Maybe some sort of sauce. It's good, right? Especially with the char on the outside. But what I've heard is that it doesn't satisfy the barbecue craving that a lot of people get with the heavy smoke, the heavy salt, the heavy pepper. My thing with like brisket, whole hog, and I tell this to people a lot, it's like picking up a guitar and you're thinking you're the next Jimi Hendrix. Like it really is.
Good analogy.
Like you're gonna burn a brisket. My first brisket, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what a brisket was. Right? My buddy and I, really, let's do it. We had a Saturday open. We marinated it. We grilled it. Like we're cutting it. Like, what is this? Like what are we doing? It was terrible. It was literally one of the worst things I've ever cooked. Right? But then, after a while, you're watching YouTube tutorials, you're reading books. I started barbecuing before I had the internet. Let's just say that. Right. So I didn't have YouTube. I didn't have Instagram or Facebook. Mm-hmm. So I was learning from books, and I was learning from these different pit shacks just going around, just asking them questions. How you do this? How you do that? You know, what type of cut are you using? So it's a long build up, right? And then after a while, you're like, okay, I did it. I finally did it. And after a while, it's like, well, can you do 2? Can you do 3?
Facts.
Can you do 4? And can you keep it consistent? Can you do, like, is your brisket selling out? You know, are you cooking enough brisket for 100, 150 people on top of pulled pork, on top of the chicken, on top of the ribs, right? Are all your sides good? So it's just, again, like a natural build up of just building up confidence, trial and error. That's the biggest thing too. You actually have to do it. You actually have to cook the barbecue. You can't learn from a book, and you can't learn from a YouTube video. No one can give you a manual. You have to cook outside according to the weather. You have to cook what your coals are doing, what your pig's doing, what your beef's doing. You got to listen to the sounds of it hitting the hot coals. There's a lot of things that you have to take in till you're like, okay, I'm actually executing on a high level.
I love it. You said something very important. I think a lot of people who are listening who have friends who are smokers, or people who have friends who have smokers. The weather. People don't realize the weather is so important to cook, just be smoking anything. I remember I was smoking did a pork shoulder for Thanksgiving. I remember it was so cold, and you're fighting the element. You're fighting the cold, and you're trying to do low and slow, and you're fighting that the whole night. And like I always tell people, when I smoke, I'm trying to look at like the perfect weather for me is 75, 80. And when it's too hot, then the grill's too hot. Mm-hmm. It's all, but these are things that I mean, jump in please, because this is why when I smoke, I need to know what the weather is before I go out there. I'm not going to fight the elements.
Yeah.
Because you're fighting two different things.
Yeah, well, you're cooking according to the weather.
Right.
Is it windy? Is it cold? Is it hot? Is it going to be raining? Do you have a canopy over top your smoker? Is the weather going to get to your smoker? Is it going to cool down your smoker? What is your wood doing? Is your wood wet? Is it dry? How's that cooking? Are you using charcoal? There's a lot of different things. Just like this past weekend, we had that tropical storm come through. I was out there, 20-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
Cooking?
Yeah, rain, underneath of a canopy, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, pitch black, trying to get these coals going. So you're fighting a lot of elements, right? This is what I say, it's a trade. There's a lot of know-how that comes into it, a lot of wisdom knowing what to do. But once you get going, it's fire management too. That's another thing. Can you start a fire in the rain? A lot of people say no. A lot of people say no.
No, you can start a fire in the rain.
You can. It's not impossible, but it's hard.
It's hard, but you can start a fire in the rain.
You definitely can. But besides starting that fire, are you cooking the meat correctly? Are you cooking it too hot, too fast? Are you cooking it too low, too slow?
Isn't a brisket a point also?
Yeah, so basically a brisket
Has
is the chest plate of a cow.
Right.
Like these cows don't have collarbones, so they need to use that muscle to keep their big heads up.
Right.
Right. So that muscle gets worked a lot.
Right.
Them coming up and down. So what that does, it creates a really tough piece of beef.
Right.
So the only way to cook a really tough piece of beef
Slow.
is to cook it low and slow.
Mm-hmm.
Right. When you get the raw piece of beef, there's a lot of fat on it.
It is.
Some soft, some hard. You want to keep a really good aerodynamic shape on the brisket to where it cooks evenly in the smoker.
Mm-hmm.
We take a lot of our scrap meat and we grind it up with some other sirloin and we use brisket burgers. That's a really good way to repurpose some of the scraps instead of throwing it away. And we use that on specials sometimes. So sometimes we'll do ribs on special, pork belly burnt ends. Sometimes we'll have enough for brisket burgers where we're doing a batch of 30, 40 burgers at a time for people.
That's good eating, though.
Yeah, so basically the brisket is the point and flat.
Yes, the point and flat, yes. That's what I was trying to think of, yes.
And it's two different muscles, and these two different muscles cook at different temperatures. They cook at different speeds. And there's a huge fat band that runs down the middle. You got the one end that's really fatty. It's more like a ribeye texture. Then you have the other end, the lean, which is more like a sirloin texture. You have to cook both pieces of meat evenly. You can't have one end too thin. That'll burn up. You can't have too much fat because people won't eat the fat. They want beef. They don't want smoked fat. So it's definitely hard to cook a brisket. Like I said, brisket is king. But when you get the whole hog, it's the holy grail because not only are you cooking the shoulders, but you're cooking the jowl meat. You're cooking the belly, which includes the bacon, the ribs, and then you're cooking the hams at the same time.
How long does it take to cook a whole hog?
All depends on the weight. All depends on the weather.
Where does one get a hog? Where does one get a hog? This, I mean, I'm sorry, vegetarians out there, if you don't eat meat, but this, I wonder, how do you get it? Because I ate a hog before, and it was like the most delicious thing I've ever had. How do you where do you find a hog, and how does it even happen?
There's a few different farms around here in Maryland. We're fortunate because Maryland has really good farming. Right. Eastern Shore, there's a lot of chicken farming. Around here, I go up to Cecil County to get my pigs. Okay. So I go up to a farm called Gavinell's.
Shout out to them.
Yep. We go up there. It's a 2-week lead time. I talk to them about the pig. How much does it weigh? How do you harvest it? They always, since it's an organic farm, they have really good animal husbandry. Good. They treat their animals really well. And then they just have one bad day. We harvest the animal. They take out the entrails. And then they give me, I've been cooking anywhere between 100 and 120 pound whole hog. And that's pretty common for, I'd say, the East Coast. You get more west towards like Western Tennessee, they're going to be bigger hogs, 180, 200.
Well, they feed them, you know what they feed them down there. Because hogs eat anything. So how often did people say, hey, Frank, we want you to do a whole hog for our party?
It all depends on what the type of party is. I've done whole hog plenty of times for weddings. Like people, again, they want to see the spectacle.
And how long would it take you to cook a whole hog, like a 200-pound hog?
200-pound hog, you're looking in the range of probably anywhere at 18 to 24 hours. Straight cooking, one shift. But you're also talking about travel time, and then you're also talking about the service at the same time. So it could easily be a 30-hour shift just to cook a 200-pound whole hog. That's why I do 100, 120 pounds. It feeds around 60 to 70 people. But I'm also putting chicken on the grill. I also have beans. I also have coleslaw. Right? So
I want to have I'm getting somewhere with this right now because now I'm thinking about a party I've been trying to have a Nopixafterdark party for the longest time. Yeah. Just to appreciate to my people, listeners and the close friends, and I'm trying to figure out does it make sense to get a whole hog? I don't know.
Well, it does because it's the spectacle that everybody wants to see, right? And what we do is that it'll take anywhere between 7 to 8 hours to cook a 100-pound pig, 120 pound. And the thing is, too, is that once you, like I said, build up your confidence, you actually start to work that smoker. You work that pig, right? Because the one question you should ask yourself is, are you working that grill or is that grill working you? And you don't ever want that grill to work you, right? You want to work that grill, and you want to work that pig, and you want to work it into submission to where you're getting it up 200 degrees to where it's just completely falling apart. You're pulling the meat off the shoulder bones, pulling the hams are coming off real easy because that's the toughest part of the pig. And you're taking all that meat, all the midland, all the bacon, all the ribs, all the tenderloins, all the jaw meat, the shoulders, the hams, everything. And you're chopping it up on a cutting board. And you're taking the cracklings that we crisp up. You're chopping that up into the barbecue sandwiches as well. I hear a lot of compliments on that. We finish it off with a Carolina sauce that I make homemade. But we also have a chipotle garlic sauce that we make, and we do a sticky sweet as well. So all of my sauces and condiments are homemade. We do homemade pickles, homemade red onions with jalapenos once in a while.
What's that tomato thing you make? How my household loves the tomatoes. The tomato you make.
Oh yeah, we do. So we do a lot of fresh sides too.
Yeah.
We don't do a lot of traditional barbecue sides. We do a lot of coleslaw, beans,
mac and cheese.
Everybody raves about the mac and cheese.
Yeah, you
people get mad that when I run out of mac and cheese.
Yeah, you do a pretty good mac. I give you that. I'm gonna give you that.
But we also do a smoked garlic tomato.
Yeah, that's good.
So when I used to work at Red Brick Station up in White Marsh, we had these tomatoes that we put on some of the English pub fare. So I was thinking, well, what can I do for a side that's low labor, low input, doesn't cost a lot of money. You can put straight on the smoker. I don't have to touch it. Right? So like, well, let's do a smoked tomato. I started putting other seasonings and some garlic in there, maybe apple juice or chicken stock just to flavor it up a little bit. And I'm putting it straight on the smoker where these tomatoes are just breaking down. They're getting smoked the whole time, and they get real soft and real tender. And it pairs really well with the beef. It really does. And I do smoked sauerkraut as well. Nobody's ever had smoked sauerkraut around here. You know, I'm Polish, so we do a lot of Polish kielbasa, sauerkraut.
I love it.
And I keep smoked sauerkraut on the smoker, and people are like, well, I've never had that. And then they try it, and they're like, that was actually really good. It was something they weren't expecting, something they never had before, something they're trying new. So that's why we're always pushing the envelope on what we want to do for our sides. Everybody can make potato salad. Everybody can make beans. Right? But if you're pushing different sides that no one's ever really heard of, they're going to keep ordering it, especially if it's good. We do collard greens once in a while. We do smoked turkey wings under collard greens. But we really stick with coleslaw, macaroni and cheese, and either beans or tomatoes.
What about Thanksgiving? Does anybody ever come to you and say, hey, can you smoke a turkey for us?
Yeah, used to.
Used to, okay.
Yeah, it just kind of got overwhelming, and it was one of those days where it's just like, what do I want to do? Do I want to smoke turkeys and deliver them because that's what people are used to? Or do I want to spend the day with my family?
Facts.
Right? So that's what I was like, well, I could do that and make a buck, or I could do something a little bit more meaningful during that time. And that's why I came up with Franks Giving, which is our main charity event around Thanksgiving time.
Walk right into that. There you go. Walk right into that.
Into it. So Franks Giving is our charity coat drive we do every year. We've done it for the past 3 years. What that is that if you donate us a winter coat, new or used, we'll give you a free barbecue sandwich for the day. So it's your choice of pork or chicken. And what we do is we take those coats and we give all the women's and children's coats to House of Ruth, and we give all the men's coats to Paul's Place downtown. So past few years, it's probably even about 200 coats per year. Okay. So we're up to about 600 coats we've collected so far the past 3 years. I want to do a lot more, right? So I'm thinking this year, what do I do? Maybe I'm doing every job I do in November is going to be a Franksgiving, right? It's just more opportunities for people to come in, try our barbecue, drop off coats, do a charitable thing, and we're collecting more coats for the city of Baltimore. So
hold on to that thought. I might have something going on in November, so hold on to that thought.
Because it's
hold that thought.
I'll hold it like one weekend. Some people I couldn't make it that weekend. It's things like that. So then I did one day on Saturday for people in the county, and then one day on Sunday for people down in the city. I did we had a platform down in the city for a while, but now this year. It's maybe I'm doing all of November. Who knows what we're going to be doing, but I definitely want to collect more coats.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. I might have something for you. I might have something for you out there, Franks. So, how can they find out Franksgiving? How can they find out on the website? What can they do?
I'm always posting to social media.
Okay.
So I'm on Instagram mostly.
Okay.
Franks_MD_BBQ.
Do you have a website yet, or are you?
I do have a website.
Okay.
It's franksmdbbq.com.
Okay.
Tells a little bit of our story, has some photos, but also has our catering form.
Got you.
I'd like to put our backyard rub online at some point so we can start shipping nationwide. But I'm also on Facebook, Franks Maryland BBQ. So I'm on these major platforms that everybody can get a hold of me. Again, on Facebook and Instagram, I'm always posting where I'm going to be because I'm 100% mobile. I do not have a brick and mortar right now.
Okay.
Maybe one day. Maybe a trailer one day.
Are you thinking about a trailer? Maybe
like a vending trailer, something like a barbecue vending trailer with a grill on the back. Just to figure out the logistics of what I can do with the health department, what type of equipment I would need inside, things of that nature, like where do I want to be, what type of markets do I want to show up to, what type of events do I want to do. We're still doing a lot of community fundraising. We're still popping up on the weekends at a lot of breweries, a lot of wineries.
Because I know some vendors, they bring their grill and smoker to the farmer's market.
I do.
And they cook right there.
Sometimes they do. I have a large smoker that I pull with my truck.
Okay.
So with these smaller markets that you see me at, like a Tuesday market or something like that, if it's small, if I'm selling 60 to 75 people,
you don't need that.
I'll do my MVP,
right,
which is just pork and chicken and beans and slaw. Maybe offer some sort of sausage. But on the weekends, I always have my grill with me. I'm always doing briskets on the weekends, macaroni and cheese. I'm doing fresh sausages and hot dogs off the grill. I'm always keeping the tomatoes on the grill on the weekend. I'm always keeping something hot and warm on the grill too. It's just wherever we go. But it's like the larger events where I'm cooking for 100, 120, maybe 150 people. I'm definitely bringing my smoker.
Nice. And where can people find out where you will be all around the town? Where they go to IG? Where they go to your Instagram? Like where do they find you? Where they want to search and figure out where you are?
Always on Instagram. I'm always posting to my stories or do a post about where I'm going to be. I have my links up on Facebook and Instagram as well, where I'm always going to be. And then we also have a link there for a street food finder to where it could always show our public events too, because I do a combination of public events and private events. I do a lot of catering too. And
what days are you? It's funny, I had a barbecue place that came to this place I was at, and they were like, Aaron, you want to get some barbecue? I'm like, no, I'm good. Because I don't trust everybody's barbecue. That's how I roll. But I like, you got good barbecue. I will tell people.
Thank you.
His brisket, bar none. The ribs, they're good. I got some ribs for you.
Yeah, well,
we gotta taste. I want you to try my ribs first.
All right, I'll try your ribs.
I don't cook for the masses, but my ribs, I tell you, I'll make sure a baby can bang with it.
Yeah.
No teeth.
Yeah.
They take dentures out and eat. I'm teasing. I'm teasing with you, but no, you have great food.
Let's have a rib cook-off then.
No. Now see where we go playing. There we go.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, I really enjoy your food. We were supposed to do this last year. That was my bad. Things got hectic and busy, and I wanted to get you on this year. And what we'll do is, I'm definitely gonna have some footage and the videos that are coming out with this about your food and the meats and whatnot. If you could say, what's your favorite meat to cook? If you can't say all of them. If you had one go-to meat, which one would it be?
It'd definitely be pork.
Okay.
Either pork shoulder for pulled pork sandwiches, or I'm cooking whole hog. Because not a lot of people are cooking whole hog.
Nobody is.
Not a lot of people are.
No.
They may do it. They may do it runner style. They may do it butterfly style. Butterfly my whole hogs. But not a lot of people around here are doing whole hog. There's a lot of waste in hog, but at the same time, people want to see the spectacle. People want to take pictures. People want to post it to their socials.
That's all they want for the gram.
But the thing is that for me, barbecue is pork. It's pork and chicken.
Got you.
Right? Around here, there's a lot of chicken because the Eastern Shore. We also have a lot of pork. I make a lot of money off my pulled pork barbecue. It has really good margins.
Right.
Beef, it's hard to turn a buck on beef because the commodity price is so high. Right? Labor costs are still labor costs, but the amount that I'm able to sell each for, I make more money margin-wise off the pork. So that's why, again, like I said, you have to be passionate about what you do I'm passionate about the barbecue, but you also have to be passionate about business. Nice. And you also have to be wise about it. Because if you're cooking too much beef and you're not turning the buck, then you're going to be out of business real soon.
Right.
And there's a lot of places who cook a lot of beef. And they pride themselves on their brisket. Or Kansas City, they pride themselves on the burnt ends. But they also tell people, try not to order as much because you might want to order some chicken. Or you might want to order some pork. And that pork and chicken keep people in business.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If the commodity price was a lot cheaper, then I would say beef, because a lot of people want smoked beef.
I've seen a lot recently with a lot of smoked. It's the bacon, the cutting. They're getting the bacon and they're cutting the chunks.
Yeah, it's pork belly.
Yeah, that's the big thing now.
That's
come back as the hottest thing out in the market right now. Pork belly.
So we do pork belly burnt ends once in a while again as a special,
Lord.
And that's just
my blood pressure going up right now. I'm thinking about
that's
this.
just pork belly cubed up, seasoned with our backyard rub, put on the smoker, put a little bit of sauce on the end, and they're really fat and gelatinous, and they just fall apart in your mouth. And one of the guys who actually cooks barbecue on the west side, he came out to the east side to support me. He said those pork belly burnt ends didn't even make it off the parking lot because he ate them so fast.
I believe it.
So these ends, a lot of people want burnt ends. They're going real fast. You could also cube up a brisket too. I've cubed up briskets and I've wrapped them in bacon and I've smoked them, double smoked them. But it's a lot of labor.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's one of those things where if you have a small, intimate catering experience, you could do them.
Mm-hmm.
But pork belly burnt ends, jalapeno poppers, they're really good appetizers for a party.
Got you. Where can people find you again? Let's put it plug everything in. Plug all your websites, plug everything. Is there a phone number to call? Plug everything.
No phone number, but
Okay.
I got a website, franksmdbbq.com. Mm-hmm. I'm on Instagram, franks_MDBBQ. And then I'm on Facebook, Franks Maryland Barbecue. So I'm pretty active on all sites. Usually respond to people within a few hours or a day. People are always contacting me, where are you going to be next? I'm also on Street Food Finder. So if you go to Street Food Finder and just put in Franks Barbecue, you'll see us there. You'll see when we're going to be having our next public pop-up.
Mr. Frank, thank you for hanging out at the Nopixafterdark podcast. It's been great. Can't wait to taste some more of your barbecue.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Love, peace. We're out, folks.